Hey guys, out working on the tractor today. I'm going to be installing a fuel sending unit for a fuel gauge. When I bought this tractor, the fuel gauge wasn't working, and I tried my best to get the existing sender to work with the existing gauge, and in the end I couldn't get it, so I decided just to buy a cheap one off of Amazon. So I'm going to be installing that now. Alright, so I'm in the tractor here, and the fuel sending unit, I've actually got two tanks underneath the cab, and in the right tank is where the existing fuel sending unit is. These tanks are a little bit difficult to remove, so I'm just going to leave them in place. I'm not even going to mess with the existing sending unit. So what I did is I went to the left tank here, and I just drilled a hole in the cab, and I drilled a hole into the tank, and I just put a little temporary plug in here, and I've been using just a stick to send down to measure the fuel level, and this is my temporary fix, and it's done for a few months now, but now it's time to finally install a proper sending unit. So I drilled a 1/2-inch hole in there, and what I did was just set up some magnets so that the shavings wouldn't fall in while I was drilling. Today I've got my hole saw out, so I need an 1 3/4 hole to put the sending unit in. So I'm going to just use a vacuum to suck away any shavings. I'm also going to throw a couple of extra magnets down there so that if there's anything that the vacuum can't get, it'll have a better chance of staying on the outside, attaching to the magnet rather than fall inside the tank. And if I get a little bit in the tank, then I guess I'll have to just live with that and deal with it if it makes it to the filter. So I've got here the sending unit that I got on Amazon, and the instructions for it. It tells us how long to allow that float to be adjusted and to cut it to the proper length depending on the depth of the tank. So we open up this, we've got our float, we've got some bolts and a gasket. We've got our gauge. It's a pretty standard fuel gauge. And we've got the sending unit. So you can see here the sending unit comes with this little bracket that the float just slides right into, and we'll line the holes, and that slides in, and you can adjust the length of that float and trim it as you need to. Then you tighten this set screw, and that's what holds that float in place, and then it just swings up and down as your fuel level changes. Okay, so I slipped a few magnets underneath the cab onto the gas tank, some of these little welding magnets. So I've got my hole saw. I'm just going to turn on my vacuum and drill that hole out. Well, it looks like this cheap hole saw is garbage, so I'll have to find something better. Alright, we're back with a better hole saw, so let's try that again. Alright, so I had to open up my hole a little bit and loosen one of the straps to move it out of the way so that I can fit the flange down. If you're going to drill your own, I suggest instead of drilling a smaller hole on the top, if you're going to go through the floor like me, drill at least a 3-inch hole so you can fit the whole flange in. So now I'm just going to measure how deep the tank is, and I pulled the magnets out from underneath the floor, and you can see all the metal shavings that they managed to pick up that didn't go inside of the tank, so that's good. I did drop the plug that I drilled in the tank. That'll have to sit at the bottom for the rest of its life. Okay, I'm just gonna throw a tape down there. It looks like it's about a 13-inch deep tank. So if we look at our chart here, with a 13-inch tank, the length of the rod needs to be 8.5 inches. So I'm going to cut that down. So I'm just going to use a set of pliers to cut that. Alright, so next on the chart, it shows that the distance from the flange to the center of the sender should be 6 5/8. I'm going to see what we have right from the factory. And we have about 7. So we have just a little bit more than we need. So we can just loosen up these screws and slide that up. Okay, now that we've got that set, we're going to put the float right on there. So like I said before, this just slides right in this hole. In through the second hole. And then that measurement I had earlier was to the center of the pin here. So I'm just going to bend that a little so it's get some clearance. And then I'm going to tighten the set screw. Okay, so now we've got the whole sender assembly together, and that's ready to go in. So I'm just going to slip the gasket on. Drop the sender into the tank. And now I'm just going to screw it right into place. Alright, so the kit comes with these bolts that you can actually drill and tap into your tank, but I'm going to cheat and use self-tapping screws or self-drilling screws just because I'm a little lazy. I don't feel like drilling and tapping. So again, I'm going to take these magnets, throw these around here to try to pick up any shavings. And the vacuum as well. Okay, so now that's bolted up, now I have to run a wire up to the gauge. You can run your own new wire. In my case, I'm going to cut the wire from the other sending unit, pass it over to this tank, because it's already running up to where the old gauge is, so that's going to save me a little bit of fishing that wire in. Okay, so I've got the sender wire fed. Now I'm just going to put it on to the new sender. Okay, with that done, let's head up to the gauge. Okay, before I install the gauge, let's just take a look at the back of it. So this is the light bulb, so you've got positive and negative for the light bulb. You've got S for sender, positive and negative for the gauge. So I've already got those wires existing in the dash there, so I'm just going to splice all those in. So I'm just going to install this now. Okay, I've got everything wired up now. I've got it bolted back in place. I'm going to turn the power on. The ignition on. We can see the needle moved a little bit. I expected it to be about 1/8 of a tank, judging by how much fuel I found in that tank with the dipstick. But I'll go get a jug and pour it in, and we'll see if it shows any more. Okay, so I just got back from the gas station and I just put 2 jugs of diesel in, so probably about 40 to 50 liters. And I'm gonna turn the key on and we're gonna see if that's gonna show on the gauge. Okay, so that seems to have moved up to probably about 1/8 of a tank. So now what I think I'm gonna have to do is I'll take the sender back out a little later, and I'm going to take some quick measurements to see if that fuel level is actually 1/8 of a tank or not. And I may have to just adjust the sender a little bit to get a more accurate reading. But I'm pretty happy that at least it works now, so that's a good sign. Alright, so that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If so, I'd appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do, and I'll see you in the next one.